Police were still scrambling to respond to the first massive blast when just 1 minute later, a second huge bomb went off. Iraqi security forces started firing, either in panic or in warning, but the two suicide car bombers were already dead, along with dozens of innocent civilians who minutes before had been going about their business on an ordinary working day. As rescue workers tried to reach those still alive but trapped, the walking wounded like this man headed away, deafened by the blast. Several Iraqi government buildings, including the Justice Ministry and Baghdad's district council, were left in ruins, every window blown out. Dr. Salah Abdel Razak, Baghdad's governor, was in his office at the time.
The bodies have seen it is these innocent people, what they have done. So to have this destiny, it is very terrible.
Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki made a brief visit to inspect the carnage. But Baghdad's shocked citizens want to know why their politicians still aren't able to protect them. Where is the government? Asks witness Ishtar Talib. Where are the security forces and their security devices? Many Iraqis believe radical Islamists are to blame for this double suicide attack, working hand in hand with disaffected Sunnis, former Ba'ath Party members who resent Iraq's Shiite-dominated government.
This method of the Qaeda, but they have been supported logistically by Ba'ath Party.
This attack had been carefully planned. The security perimeter in this area had been relaxed just a few weeks ago. U.S. commanders in Iraq warned that violence like this is going to increase in the run-up to elections in January to stop people from going to the polls. Elizabeth Palmer, CBS News, London.
For some perspective on how today's bombings could affect Obama administration policy in Iraq and Afghanistan, we are joined in Washington by CBS News analyst John Dickerson. John, good evening to you.
Good evening, Russ.
Can this be seen as a big setback for the Obama administration in Iraq?
I don't think so. If it's just a kind of one-off, the way administration officials talk about it is in that way. What would worry them is if this were the beginning of a long string of attacks. But they hope that it's just one big, ugly event and that things will settle back down again afterwards.
Of course, the president still has to decide what to do in Afghanistan, send more troops, bring some home, stay the course. Will what happened in Iraq this weekend, in your mind, affect the Obama administration's decision on Afghanistan?
There are so many other things to think about on Afghanistan, the nature of the government there, the situation in the various parts of Afghanistan, that this is much further down the list, and that's what administration officials say. So this probably won't have much an effect on Afghanistan. However, if the president does decide to add more troops, it does make the environment in which he would have to make that case to the American people a little more difficult. These kinds of bombings remind people of just the carnage that's associated with more troops overseas.
Former Vice President Dick Cheney is accusing the Obama administration of dragging its feet on Afghanistan. Are you hearing other sentiment out there along those lines?
Well, there's been some elite opinion about the pause in the president's thinking. The benefit for the White House of having Dick Cheney come out and use the word dithering is, one, Senator John McCain came out and said, well, he wouldn't use that word. And so it puts Cheney out there as a kind of boogeyman the administration can point to. He's not terribly popular outside of conservative circles. And also, it allows the administration to talk about the situation they inherited and the neglect of the Bush-Cheney years. And that neglect is something not just Democrats talk about, but that the generals who are fighting this war and trying to win it talk about that same neglect. So in some ways, Dick Cheney is a gift for the White House.
CBS News analyst John Dickerson, as always, thank you very much.
Thanks, Russ.